Hey, we're going to try this again. Not today. Somebody doesn't want this video out. That's how I laugh when things just kind of go awry, when everything usually works just like clockwork. So here we are again. I'm just going to dive right back into the topic once I make sure you guys can see me, hear me okay. Thank you guys so much for your patience and being such a great audience. Loud and clear now. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Thank you. And also, I think I forgot to do this. And Marie, and thank you so much. Woohoo, I'm back. And again, thank you so much to Steve and Phil for keeping the chat such a great place to be. I forgot to do that before. So just wanted to acknowledge them and what a great job they do. And with that being said, we're going to start again here. And I'm going to jump right in to the topic. And thank you guys again for being such a great audience. So what we are talking about today is why your wife stopped enjoying sex. And really today, I am talking to the women that were just like me, where I was in my marriage about 10 years ago, went from enjoying sex or thinking I was enjoying sex when I started dating my husband, then getting married and getting to a place where I was shut down, disengaged, and very confused about what had happened and feeling like what's wrong with me because I couldn't get myself back on track. And all the books I read, all the people I talked to, all the research I did trying to figure things out, nothing worked. And the more that I read books, the more I tried tips and techniques, I would just get more in my head, more overwhelmed, and just more shut down and paralyzed in myself around sex. And I wanted to re-engage. I wanted to figure it out. I wanted the problem solved, and nothing I did worked. So I'm talking to those women today who are married to good men, are having those same issues and being shut down in sex, feeling like sex is a chore, that sex is an obligation, and they can't get themselves back and re-engage with sex, and they don't know what to do. And the reason that I'm talking about this today is that we are working on my book. And this is a chapter that we realized we needed in the book to help women understand how did we get to this place of being disinterested and no longer enjoying sex. Because what others are teaching, what you're reading, the other content that is out there is not leading you as women to the right place within yourselves to be able to resolve these issues and re-engage with sex. The first place that I want to start today of how we got to a place where we stopped enjoying sex in our marriages is that as women, sex has always been an act. The act of sex. And what I mean by that is that we learned how to act in the experience of sex. We became actresses. We watched, learned, and copied what we saw in romance movies, what we read in romance books, and talking to friends, what we would see on TV. We learned to become who we thought we needed to be in the act of sex without ever learning how to be ourselves in sex, show up as we are, and enjoy the experience of sex for ourselves. It was always an act from the beginning. I remember one of the first books I read that introduced me to what romance was supposed to be with a man. I used to steal his siblings' books She read Sweet Valley High, and I would steal those books in middle school. And that's where I first began to learn who I needed to be with a man to get the man, and what I thought I needed to be in the act of sex to be desirable. And then added on to that with different movies and talking with friends and seeing things on TV, thinking this is who I need to be. And when we're honest, we all did that as women. So then when we decided we were ready to get married and find a husband and get the man, we felt in ourselves that the only way to get a man is with sex. We are so insecure in ourselves as women, so disconnected from really knowing who we are and knowing how to show up as ourselves. We've spent our whole lives being who we think we need to be liked, approved of, and wanted. Then when it came to getting a man and a husband, the only thing we felt we had to offer as women was sex and our bodies. That's all we felt we had to offer. So we knew we better perform well and be who we need to be in the experience of sex. And we get caught up in that and get caught up in the performance. So the experience we were having before we got married, and the passion and the intensity and the things we were doing, we have to be honest with ourselves and realize all of those things were an act. They were all a performance. And then a man believes in that act and in that performance, wow, I've really gotten lucky. I met a woman who is really good in bed and really enjoys having sex and believes that's who she's going to be. And I think somewhere in us as women, we believe that's who we are because it's all we've ever known. And the women I'm speaking to today are women who want to solve the issues and genuinely want to figure this out, maybe didn't realize how much you were caught up in the act of sex and being an actress in it. And that what became of that, again, is we never learned to enjoy sex for ourselves. I had to realize there was no Karen to be found in the act of sex. There was no me. And that's why, as women also, just on a side note, why we feel so empty and used after sex. Most of us have had that experience of feeling just completely empty after the excitement is done, and then feeling empty and like an object. And we always falsely thought it was the man that made us feel that way, or men that make us feel that way, but it's not. It's the act we were putting on and the show we were putting on, and there being no me in the experience that makes us feel so used and empty. We're doing it to ourselves, which is a very good thing to recognize, because that's the only way we can be the solution, is if it's me. And that's where I had to get to in resolving the issues of sex in my marriage, was to know it's me. I'm creating all of this. And this is the root of it, that we were actresses. So we get married, we get the man. For some women, the sex starts to dwindle and we stop enjoying sex on the wedding night. For some women, we slowly back off over time, and it's a slow burn to the point of not enjoying sex and being disinterested. And this all happens, whether it happens quickly once we get married or it takes time. It's happening because we can't keep up the act. We can't keep up the act. So we start to disengage. And then for some women, you might start to re-engage when you want to have children, and men have shared this with me too. Like, yeah, it kind of stopped or became less frequent after we got married. And then she wanted kids. And then it was kind of back to what it was when we dated. But again, because it was a means to the end. Once we get married or once we have kids, there's no reason to keep the act up anymore. Because we got what we wanted. And once we get what we wanted, there's no reason. And it becomes tiresome and burdensome to keep the act up. When there's never any you to begin with, that's why you begin to feel obligated, like it's a chore and a checklist. It's why you start to have the mental calendar. Well, I had sex on this day, so now I can go a couple weeks. I know that calendar. I had that calendar for a long time, and then it starts to, the week or the 2 weeks goes by, and you start getting anxiety and pain because you know you need to, but you don't want to because it feels like such a burden and such a chore, and it's the last thing you want to do. Again, it comes back to it being an act. We also have to understand something about the passion and intensity of which we experience sex when we first started dating or first met our husbands. This is so important because this is where the experts in sex and marriage and relationships are giving really bad advice that does not solve the problem and keeps us going around in circles. So much of what is out there is trying to teach women and trying to teach couples how to get back to the passion, how to get back to the intensity and the desire and what it was when we first met. And for women, we want to get back there, and this is really important to understand. We wanted sex to make us feel loved. And in the beginning, we get caught up in the emotional experience of the passion, the excitement, the intensity that gives us a feeling of being loved. So then when we have kids and the reality of marriage hits and the responsibilities begin to stack up in life and the newness wears off, we no longer feel that passion and intensity, and we don't feel loved, and we think there's something wrong in the bedroom. And there's something wrong in the marriage that we don't have that, and it's not giving us that experience anymore. But if it was all an act in the beginning because we became who we thought we needed to be to get the man, and we needed to have that intensity and that passion, you have to understand it was a fake, false experience. There's nothing to go back to because it wasn't real to begin with. And that's where I buried myself in overwhelm and paralyzed myself in sex after getting married. Is one, thinking something was terribly wrong, that sex with my husband wasn't like it was 4 years ago when we first met. And then reading the books, talking to people, going to therapy, and trying to recreate the passion and intensity of what was there and not able to get back there, and then feeling like something was terribly, terribly wrong with me and terribly wrong with my marriage. And that's what all the books were saying. And I couldn't get there. And now I understand why. And no one ever teaches us this. No one ever teaches us this. That sex does change once you get married. Now it seems like what my mentor would say, like, duh. It's supposed to change. What it was in the beginning isn't sustainable. It's not a sustainable long-term plan for if you're going to be committed and be married until death do us part. what it was in the beginning or what we had with some bad boy years ago, that's not sustainable. You're never going to be able to keep that up, and you're never going to be able to get back there because it was an act. So we have to start to normalize. We have to start to normalize that sex changes and intimacy changes once we get married. And when we accept that, and this has been my experience and Adam's experience too, and what we've talked about, it's actually so much better because now it's real. And there's a much, much deeper intimacy and true connection than a contrived experience of passion and intensity in the bedroom. Was that fun? Of course. But it's not sustainable and it's not realistic. And no one's teaching anyone, hey, it changes. And it's a good thing when you embrace it and you go through that transition. But we're told that's wrong. And there's something wrong in your marriage if it doesn't have the desire and passion and intensity that it had in the beginning. And the path is with all the things and tricks and tips we need to do to get back there. And you're never going to get back there because it was an act. So this comes to the real problem of why you are so disinterested, why you are so bored, why you feel like it's a chore, why you feel like it's a checklist, is because you never learned to enjoy it for yourself as you. That's the real problem. You never learned to enjoy it for yourself as you. It was all an act. So you're trying to get back to something that never existed and was never real. And this is the first part of getting to a solution, is understanding the real why underneath it. And again, this is for women who are trying to figure this out and trying to resolve it and get their sex life back on track in their marriages. So what happens is, as married women, then we start to build excuses not to have sex. And we pretend we're interested, but we come up with so many excuses because we're tired of the act and the show. We can't keep it up. And because the realities of life set in, and the responsibilities of marriage, the responsibility of parenting, the responsibility of being out in an adult life come in, and it's way too much work to put on the act of sex. We've never learned to have sex without the act. So where I would like to go next are 5 reasons why, as women, we have so many excuses not to have sex. So we see what's going on underneath that has been birthed from the place of sex always being an act. That from the time we were young, we, again, read romance novels, talked to friends, watched TV, watched things like Sex and the City, watched romance movies, and we watched, learned, and copied who we thought we were supposed to be in the bedroom. And we can't keep the act up. So then we come up with a lot of excuses. And then we stay stuck and we read books thinking there's an intimacy problem that we have to fix. And we keep trying to get things back to the way they used to be, which is not realistic. It changes. So you have to roll with the tide and the changes to make it an enjoyable experience, which can only happen by learning to enjoy it for ourselves. So the first excuse, or the first reason why, we have so many excuses, is we feel, number one, we feel like sex is an obligation and a burden. That we don't have anything left in us to give to our husbands. We are queens of putting ourselves last, meaning overcommitting, putting 1,000 things in our calendar, being on 1,000 committees for work or things with our children, signing up for things we have no time to do, saying yes to everything anyone asks of us, and we drain ourselves. And what we have to do is be honest with ourselves that we purposely drain ourselves so that we run on empty. And there's nothing left in us to be able to give to the marriage and give to our husbands and the things that are important to them. We put our husbands, because we put ourselves at the bottom of the totem pole and drain ourselves, we put our husbands at the bottom of the totem pole. And it's part of the creation of the excuse. So we don't have to be the actress in the bedroom because it feels like an obligation and a burden. It's very, very difficult to keep up the act when you don't know how to enjoy sex for yourself. The second reason why we have so many excuses not to have sex, number 2, men and women are wired differently sexually. And what I mean by that is, for a man, sex is easily in the top 3 of what's most important to him in a marriage. And the reality is, and it's not good or bad, it's just the truth, it might not even make our top 10 as women. We completely miss each other here. For us as women, it might be 8, 9, or 10, or it might not even be on the list. And you have to understand that's true, because if it was really important to you and a priority, we would never stop having it. So it's just understanding, just practically, we are wired differently when it comes to sex, and we don't feel a responsibility to meet our husband's needs and what's important to them because it's not as important to us. But what I'm trying to teach women, and what I had to learn, is that it's a responsibility that comes with marriage. It's a role we have committed to. So you don't have to make it the goal. And I had to learn this. The goal isn't to make it the most important thing to you or get it in your top 3. It's to accept and realize the differences. And then how do I learn to enjoy this for myself and realize and accept it is a part of the responsibility, so that I can be proud of myself and who I am as a wife and be able to give my husband something very simple that's really important to him, that he enjoys and wants and needs. So that's the second reason why we have so many excuses. We are wired differently, and we don't feel as women a responsibility to meet our husband's needs because it's not as important to us. The third reason why we have so many excuses is we are selfish and only think of ourselves and what we want. So again, this comes back to, because it's not important to us, we have no capacity to meet the needs of our husband because we are so focused on how our needs aren't being met. And this comes back to how we live and can't victim in our marriages, blaming our husbands for why we're not feeling loved, taken care of, that our needs aren't being met. So we're focused on all the things they're not doing for us, and then we don't feel loved. So I'm not going to give him anything. I'm not going to give him what's important to him. What about me? And that's because of our selfishness, and we're so self-centered and only thinking of our needs and wants that we can't give what's important and what our husbands need to them in our selfishness. The fourth reason why we have so many excuses to not have sex in our marriage is women. We emasculate our men by treating them like children, and it kills our attraction to them. You have to understand and recognize, I did a video on this not too long ago about our repulsion to our husbands and how it is self-created. We emasculate them in a myriad of ways And then we create a lens and image of them that they're a pathetic excuse of a man. We often feel like if a woman has, let's say she has 3 children, she'll say, I have 4 children, one's an adult man in the marriage, because that's how we see our husbands, because we treat them that way. And then we create the very thing we need them to be to push them away, to have that repulsion. And we feel like our husband is a child, which want to have sex. Of course, we're not interested in having sex with our husbands if we're treating them like children and see them like a child. So we have to recognize what we're creating and being controlling, wanting to change them, constantly seeing all the things we think are wrong or bad about them, and then letting them know that they become emasculated, they become weak in the marriage, and you're not attracted to them. And the 5th reason we have so many excuses to not have sex is number 5, we are really uncomfortable in our own bodies. And it doesn't matter. I've worked with really thin women, normal, average, everyday women, bigger women. I can promise you across the board, it doesn't matter what you look like. And actually, some of the women I have worked with who have been total knockouts are the most insecure women that I work with, because all their value in life has been based on how they look in their bodies, and that they feel like a transactional commodity with their looks and their bodies. What we have to realize why we feel so uncomfortable in our bodies is not because of how we look or our weight. We project onto our physical bodies how badly we feel about ourselves on the inside. It's an internal issue, not an external issue of how we look or the weight that we are. It's who we are in the dark when no one's looking, and the choices we make and the things we do to ourselves that make us feel so bad about ourselves. So when we're really uncomfortable in our bodies, the last thing we want to do is get naked in bed and be exposed in the bedroom and worried about what wrinkle is showing and what fat roll and how do I look? That doesn't look good. That can't be sexy. But we have to know a good man he's not focused on those things. He could care less. He could care less when you're kind and loving and happy in yourself and treat him with love and kindness. Could care less. They don't care about those things. But we get so caught up in that. And as we age and get older and we don't look like we did when we're 25 and our bodies don't look like we did when we were 25, then we become incredibly insecure in that way, and we'll hide in the closet to get dressed and not let our husband see us when we get out of the shower. And then we'll make tons of excuses to not have sex because of how we feel in our bodies. So those are the 5 reasons why we have so many excuses as women to not have sex. So we did it. So usually I give solutions, but I have to be a marketing person and tease you to buy the book. And as much as I want to give you the solution and all of this, that's why I'm writing the book, to give a very in-depth roadmap for women who want to change and re-engage with sex in their marriage. That's where I'm going to be giving the solution. And today's episode is a framework to guide me in writing this chapter in the book. So thank you guys for being a part of it and being here. And thank you so much for being patient with the technology today and the audio going out. So we did it. We got there. So please give this video a like if it spoke to you. Please consider subscribing if you're not already. Share the video if you know someone that this could help. And with that being said, I'm going to take a sip of water and then go into the chat, and Phil's going to send me some questions for today. All right, let's see. Here is this. Oh, thanks, Phil, for your generosity. Uh, thanks for helping with the technical, or thanks for hanging in with the technical difficulties and continuing the show on a most important topic. Thank you, thank you. And then Aunt Marie Ann says, I'm so grateful she got the glitches sorted out. This is absolutely what I needed to hear today. Awesome. Awesome. Good for you, Marie. That is Marie Ann. That is, you're the woman I'm talking to. These are the women I'm talking to. They're open to the message. They want to solve these issues. So I'm so glad that you were here today, and I appreciate you participating. So yeah, Rabbit Gator, she's correct. I don't care about my wife's weight, wrinkles and all. Thank you, Love Grows. Can't wait to read the book. Can't wait to get it out to you guys. And for when that comes. All right, let's see. Questions sent. All right, so I'm going to go over to the questions here. Yeah, and I could see the live feed still not coming in quite right, guys. I've got a new computer and things and still trying to get it set up. So hopefully the recording will be a little bit better. So let's see. Oh, good. Great question. I'm just going to read some of it. Yeah, I'm a good man believing it was my fault. I want to share your videos with my wife. Tell me where to start. There is, like where to start in sharing videos. So I have a video that teaches men how to share my videos with their wife. So I would check that video out. I think it's called Warning. For men who want to share my videos with their wives. I think that's the name of it. And what I teach in that is you want to share the videos that most speak to you and the issues you are having. That's really the best way. You can't get caught up in, oh my gosh, is she going to be offended by that? You have to share the videos that most express the issues and challenges you are having that your wife can't or won't hear from you, and that you maybe have difficulty expressing to her. Oh, thank you, Phil. Karen is a gift with a gift, and Marie, and she is that and a whole lot more. I appreciate that, you guys. Thank you so much. Where will your book be available? Definitely on Amazon. I will get you guys to proposed release date. Great question. The next time that I am live, as I've learned in business, it's helpful to have a deadline. So I'll create that for myself and then get you guys a proposed release date. And it will be available on Amazon. And I'll have more information on that as well. Oh, thank you, Colleen. Another woman. Hi, Karen. This is my first live stream on your channel. Welcome. Glad you can make it. And thank you for the patience today. Usually things run a little bit smoother than that. I've watched many of your videos the last few weeks because of my son and daughter-in-law's troubled marriages. Good for you, or troubled marriage. Good for you. Good for you to be here and learn. And love to see the ladies watching. There's quite a number of you, and just appreciate your support and showing that, yes, women are listening. And they are there. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Major Sam. He says, as usual, great video, Karen. I'm a family physician, practiced OB for 23 years, interviewed hundreds, maybe thousands of women, and what you've said today is so spot on. Thank you so much for that. Awesome. All right, guys. Oh, hold on. There's something here. Yeah. Okay, I got to that. All right. Well, we still ended it kind of on time here, so that's cool. Just seeing through here. All right, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Reminder, I won't be here next Saturday, but I'll be back on, I think it's the 23rd. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. And thanks again for today. I look forward to seeing you soon. I hope everybody